This is the Self-Storage Podcast, where we share the knowledge and skills from the industry's leading investors, developers, and operators to help you launch and grow your self-storage business. I'm your host, Scott Meyers, and over the past 16 years, we have acquired, developed, converted, and syndicated over 2 million square feet of self-storage nationwide with the help of my incredible team at SelfStorageInvesting.com, who has helped thousands of people achieve greatness in self-storage. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Self-Storage Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Meyers, and our next guest, Alex Quezada, is Managing Member of Vault Ventures, LLC, Holding Vault, LLC, and Quick Cash Offer, LLC. And he has grown Vault Ventures, LLC to a team of now 9 staff members who are dedicated to acquiring off-market, discounted properties throughout Florida to wholesale directly to cash buyers looking for the next investment opportunity. Alex also co-founded Quick Cash Offer, LLC, to bring those same skills of locating motivated sellers to other states and emerging markets where demand is high for investor inventory. Now, Alex started Holding Vault, LLC to begin his passive income journey to 5,000 doors, which currently includes single-family homes, duplexes, triplexes, apartment buildings, mobile home parks, and now self-storage. Alex specializes in all facets of real estate, but has a real passion for creative deal structuring and investor relations. So without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with Alex Quezada. Alex, welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott. How you doing? Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, and doing great over here. The better question is, tell us a little bit about what's happening on your end since we've seen each other last.
We finally closed. Well, not finally. We did it pretty quickly after started working with you there. But we got things moving pretty well with our first facility down in Sebring, Florida. Things have been chugging along, doing very well. A lot of implementation right away of what we're doing, bringing in some portable storage, and really just trying to start doing some more marketing, continuing to grow, do more marketing, just different channels of marketing too. I think we're gonna start using some cold callers. I have a cold call company in South America, and so really just trying to increase our marketing, get more deals, get more opportunities, because now's the time.
Oh my gosh, is it ever? Well, let's dive into that for just a second. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen. I mean, you're brand new into your facility and fairly new into self-storage. Tell us about the transition into storage and some of the things that you've learned given the market that we're in right now that perhaps maybe you didn't expect, or some of the curveballs that you've seen and how you overcame them.
Yeah, for sure. So taking over, we got our first deal right under contract right before COVID. Luckily, it was a close enough deal that we could drive to. It's not that the largest facility. It's about 132 units. And it also had a commercial building that the sellers were using for their other business that they had. When they closed that down, our plan was to make it an RV parking and add additional parking. And through our due diligence process, we learned that it wasn't just going to be that simple, or the county wasn't going to allow it to be just that simple. We had to add asphalt and do all these other things. So through really just having some, the first week of just changing our signage, we were able to attract somebody who asked about the building and rent the entire commercial building for a rate that was able to exponentially speed up our process of where we thought we were going to be. So instead of adding all this parking, doing all this work to get to a point to achieve an extra $2,000 a month, we got somebody, or $2,400 a month. We got that from one tenant right away. So it was a huge blessing. On the COVID side of things, we actually had our manager got a little COVID scare from his girlfriend working in a hospital, and so he had a whole week where he didn't have to be in the office. Luckily, we implemented already a lot of our automation strategies, changing out the gate to be keypad automated, adding new cameras, just a lot of things to make it more automated so we don't have a full-time employee who has to be there. So putting a sign on the door, really utilizing easy storage solution to manage our facility and the property. It was a great benefit to having that all set up before he had that scare and had to take pretty much a week off.
Well, that's, once again, the beauty of storage is the fact that this is just a very low labor intensive transaction. very similar, as I've said before, to a red box rental almost. And so we've been able to rent units online through the website or through platforms like Easy Storage Solutions. And where we used to have large kiosks outside, now we can have an iPad-sized kiosk either in a little booth or just inside the doors,
Wow.
and the transaction is seamless. We even have a kiosk for locks. The only difference is that they don't get a paper receipt is all. And so thankful that in the self-storage industry, first of all, that it is considered an industry that is essential. And second, that, very little needed to be done across the industry. Virtually, all owners of self-storage facilities, they really didn't skip a beat much, and didn't miss out on many transactions, other than the fact that in some places, with the shelter in place, people just didn't come out, period. But that was, good for you that not only coming into this facility, that you didn't have to do much, because it's challenging enough to get into your first facility and then transition it over, period, let alone in the times that we're in right now. So,
Yeah.
um, Alex, if you would, let's take a step back. I gave everybody your bio before you and I got on the call, but why don't you kind of fill in the gaps and tell us your story, how you got involved in real estate and what brought you to the point where you began investing in self-storage?
Yeah, for sure. So originally I was in school at UCF and getting a finance degree and driving to work, and heard an ad on the radio for Ronald Grand and how to buy houses with no money down. At that point in time, I was saving money to buy a house, and instead I went to that 3-day event, uh, bought a boot camp, went to that boot camp, bought another boot camp, and every little thing that was they were selling and pitching. And at the time I had a full-time job as doing timeshare, and so I was kind of trying to juggle both in school. And so I graduated, was learning all the processes of doing real estate, and then I made a decision like I can do timeshare or I can do real estate, and that's what I was passionate about and wanted to do. I see the future, what it could be, and so I quit my job and started wholesaling properties. At that time, the market was right when it crashed, and so we were wholesaling REO properties. Been wholesaling for about 8-9 years now. Right now, I run a 7-figure wholesale business. Last month, we closed like 24 deals. We contracted 37 properties. And through that process of eventually now growing the business where I have a whole team, it runs pretty much on autopilot now for me. We have a cold call center in South America where it produces a lot of leads for us. Out of those 24 deals, 14 of them were from our cold callers. And so a lot of things are automated now where I can focus more on commercial. I do currently own and have owned for a couple of years now a couple mobile home parks and apartment buildings with uh, business partners, and just trying to now, literally like this year, we have now I can step away and focus on the business, not being in the business, and now I want to focus more on commercial and growing my portfolio. And one of my mentees that I have taught how to wholesale, he actually came to me at the end of last year and was like, I want to do commercial like you. How do I get into it? And I was like, well, I have my guys I work with apartments and my guys I work with mobile home parks. I go, self-storage is, I think, the ultimate and the easiest to manage and get into. And there's still opportunities there with a lot of mom and pop owners. I go, let's study this. I have Scott's material. Let's study it. I'll get back into it. I went to your program back in like 2015, I think, in Indianapolis, but I never put into action because I was just in the wholesale business so much. But now I had more time, so I got him involved. His name's Barry, and he kind of got me back into looking into self-storage. And so you came to Orlando, we went to that boot camp, um, decided to partner up with you and your mastery, and, put things into action, and really just hit the ground running with getting a deal, pretty much from our second mail campaign. And it's been great, and looking to now really scale that up. Part of the business, it is out of all the commercial uh, asset classes, I definitely like self-storage the best. It is the easiest to manage, and like I said, there's a lot of opportunities still out there, especially in the big box conversions, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of points that I wanted to touch on, Alex, and this is a same progression that I went through, as well as so many other folks, is that you realize whether you're wholesaling, if you're in the single family game, whether you're wholesaling or you're fix and flip, wholetailing. Or just landlording them, it's still very transaction based. Even if you build up a gaggle of single family homes and you have a portfolio that you're managing, the turns are still activity, because then you got a minor rehab, every time that happens. And then you
Yeah.
have to start remarketing again, where it's not like an apartment complex or a mobile home park or a self-storage where the marketing is in place all the time. It's always there. You don't really start and stop. It's just always there. And then, you have a major turn with an apartment, and really not much of a turn with a self-storage facility or a unit, and you just blow it out. And a mobile home park is a little bit more to, re-rent a pad or what have you. But that's the beauty of getting to that place. And what I wanted to touch on is that, using Michael Gerber's words, working on the business rather than in the business. And when you move away and make that shift from that transaction based real estate investing over to, building wealth and building a portfolio to manage, and then, farm that, rather than having to go out and kill what you eat and drag it back to the cave over and over and over again. That is the difference. And for those that can, slug it out long enough to make that transition, or to get a portfolio, big enough and a good team in place to manage it in the single family realm, that's, once you get to that place, and once you, cross over, then life looks a whole lot different on the other side. So congratulations. I applaud you for doing that. And
Thank you.
so what's next? Tell us, you got this under your belt. You transitioned over, looking at the portfolio and the landscape. You've got your hand in, several, four, call it five, really areas of real estate. What are the next steps now? What are you going to do for the balance of 2020 and beyond?
We've one of the main things, and it does help with us getting more access to more deals and more opportunities, is growing our cold call center. My business partner over there has really created something great culture over there, and a lot of people over there working hard for us, and we've taken on some clients of other folks, and to help them grow their businesses. So we're working on scaling that. Doesn't take a lot of my time. I do a lot of the marketing for that, bringing on more clients, but that allows uh, more income to come to us, and so that I can also focus on more commercial. So our goal right now is really growing self-storage and mobile home parks. I think those are the best asset classes, and seeing a lot of opportunities with the mom and pop owners. So we have been constantly reaching out to more brokers, just doing more marketing, through even like social media. I put a post out, looking for big box stores that have closed down, and I had a bunch of people, send me, in their neighborhood, places that have closed down. Obviously, with everything going on, a lot of retail closing, I think there's a big opportunity in the big box conversions for self-storage. And we really want to look at that. And I want to go bigger. I do have private capital a good amount of private capital to close deals and fund some of these opportunities that come our way. So that aspect of it is sometimes a hindrance to a lot of people. I don't have that. So like, we are really diving into to scaling up our marketing, increasing that, so we can find these opportunities, or even, JV with other folks who might have the opportunities but don't have the money, to get bigger. We would like to close another like 500 units by the end of the year, and so that's our goal, is to get around another 400 or 500 units.
Well, in the conversion option and path is certainly one that we're interested in. The quickest way to get into the business is to do what you've done. You buy a self-storage facility
Yep.
that's operating, and you turn it around. The second fastest is to buy the shell, and a big box that's vacant, an industrial building, a warehouse, whatever that may be, and then add in the walls and doors. And then the third is, you start with a raw piece of land, and you develop it, and you put an income stream on it. But we all know that can take a little bit longer, especially if there's a
Yeah.
plan in place and going through that. So, the usually the higher profits are in development. When you start with a piece of dirt and then you put an income stream on it, then there's usually higher rewards on the back end of that. But the hybrid of that and conversions where the shell's in place, zoning is in place, and you buy it and you clean up the shell and put in simultaneously walls and doors, and in 90 days you're open for business. That for us that proves to be a better use of our time even than existing facilities. Now we're still buying existing facilities and always shopping and continuing to ramp up our marketing efforts for those, as we head into this next recession. But still, conversions is a big piece of what we do. So, if you would, Alex, without divulging your secrets, talk to us a little bit about the top of your funnel. You've got the call center that is calling either leads or from a list that you buy or your own database. Just give us a little glimpse into the top end of your funnel and how you begin to fill it and look for opportunities.
So right now we have not we just dabbled into training our cold callers in Columbia to start calling self-storage owners. So we really haven't done enough training to do that. We literally just started. So right now, our only source of marketing that we're really doing is mailing. So we just are hitting the same people again and again and again, where people are now calling us like, hey, like, you're mailing me too much, like, can you stop it? But I think getting that phone call and allowing us to at least build a connection with somebody is the key. And it's always just getting in front of them. The guy, the sellers for the property that we did buy, he just literally said, I never checked the mail, and I checked the mail that day, and I literally that morning decided that we were going to sell the property. And he's like, it's just fate. So like,
Yeah.
I think you constantly have to be in front of those people. I think utilizing our cold callers to do that as well will be a big help for us. We just got to do a little bit training with them to, have them focus on that. They do it for apartments for us, and we have locked up apartment buildings from our cold callers. But that and just touching brokers, we reach out to a lot of brokers and talk to them. I always have them send me, the deals, the opportunities, anything they send me. I try to give them a response of, hey, this looks good, but I'm looking for something bigger, or do you have anything in this area instead of this area? And just try to stay in front of them that I am currently an active buyer and looking, that we have closed deals, I own other properties, that we're real buyers with the money, not they're going to waste their time, and that we want to see everything you got, and hopefully we see it before it goes to the open market.
Mm-hmm. Well, from a direct marketing piece, from sending out mailers, obviously that is, as we continue to stress here, that is, in our opinion, the best way to get the best deals, which is before it gets out into the open market and a lot of eyeballs on it, or before somebody else gets a hold of them and tells them some stories or tales about how large of a price, sales price that they'll get for their property. So if we can catch them ahead of time and talk to them about realistic numbers and save them some commissions, perhaps, and a lot of stress and trouble, that is absolutely the way to go. And yeah, we send the mailers out into the markets that we're mailing from time to time. We'll continue to hit it over and over until they say stop, or they sell us their property, or they die. Usually that's and sometimes in that order. And by the way, no coincidence that gentleman walked out to the mailbox that day and yours was there and it was time to sell. That's to me, depending on what everybody thinks on this podcast, that's a God moment, and you're supposed to have that property. So, but that only comes from the persistence of being there, because we'll hit them for years. And then all of a sudden, we want to be in front of them at the time they're going to make that decision. We'll tell them, still in that mailer, hey, save this, for the time when, you're going to sell. And sometimes we'll stop a mailing, for 4 or 5 years since we've mailed to a particular market, and they'll call and they'll say, hey, just got your letter recently. And we say, where's the facility at? And it's like, wow, we haven't mailed to that market in 5 years, but they hold on to those, so
sure.
That's the rare case. What is more likely is in your scenario is that you hit them, that letter gets on their desk, at the time when they're considering selling, and it piques their interest, and they give you a call. So persistence is key. And again, another one of the things that we teach, which I'm thankful that you took, is to go out and create those relationships with the brokers. When it comes to direct mail, we tend to look as if we're competing against them, and to a degree we are. It's just, getting in front of them with the right message before the broker does, to lock up their deal. We want to do it before they do. But then brokers are part of our team to say, hey, when you find the deals that you don't want, the junkers and the things that maybe are unfinanceable and that your buyer's list can't snap up and just take the closing so that, you get a commission and the seller is happy, send it over to us and we'll take a look at it and put an offer in 48 hours. Just give us all the information you have, and no harm, no foul. In 48 hours, we'll submit an offer if we're interested. If not, then obviously you do what you were going to do anyways, which is go out and list it. So, two key ways of filling the funnel, and appreciate you taking those and running with them, and it looks like it's bearing fruit.
Yep, we use your exact letter, and it works, and we're gonna keep doing it, and we're looking to expand to some different states as well, and just to have more opportunities in front of our face, and add to the portfolio.
Good. Well, Alex, if you would, let's since this is kind of fresh, so you've made this transition. You haven't gone from necessarily single family homes into commercial or straight into storage. You're in apartments, mobile homes, and now self-storage. Tell us a little bit about that transition, maybe from single family homes into commercial, what that was like, and then from the other asset classes into storage. Give us a sense of what that looks like and what your thoughts are now being on the other side.
Yeah, I right away I wish I did. I just jumped right into commercial 100%. I spent a lot of time, not wasted. Like, I think obviously it's my journey, and I'm happy where I'm at, where I came from, and what I've accomplished, and where I'm going to. But I think jumping right into commercial, if you have the opportunity, if you're just starting in real estate, that would be 100% the way I would go. The good thing with wholesaling and the business that I've developed is, like, it's great, amazing income coming in each month that it has allowed me to structure deals with my private lender and with some commercial with the sellers, where I don't need the cash flow. So I'm able to negotiate, seller financing deals with 0% interest, with higher payments to the seller to pay down them much quicker, allowing me more benefit in the future, because I don't need to make $1,000 a month, income. Obviously that is the goal: financial freedom, passive income. But I think I'm setting myself up for greater returns in the future. But I've always, wanted to go bigger, even just starting in wholesaling and real estate, and always am eager to be a student. So I've gone to boot camps for Dave Lindahl and I'm forgetting some names, but some different apartment guys, and obviously yourself, and mobile home park guys, and always looking, even if I wasn't ready to do it, if somebody's in town, and whether it's $2,000, $5,000, whatever, if I could pick up one thing from that person, it's always well worth it. So I'm always looking to learn more, expand my mind, and by being in those rooms with certain people, I've had developed relationships, and when it comes to that point in time where, fate or whatever it may be, people meet in the right direction, and then, that's why I have great partners. By being in one room for multifamily, for apartment building, this guy was speaking on stage. I went up to him, talked to him, and I was wearing a shirt that said "I buy mobile home parks." Mobile home parks was the first asset class we got into, and it was all about apartments. It was the IMN conference, and everyone's pretty much suited up there, pretty nice. And I came from actually another conference for real estate that was across the street, and I was hopping back and forth. And the guy I spoke to, he came up to me and was like, I like your shirt. I like that you came up to me. We're talking, and he told me about a seller finance opportunity. He asked me why at mobile home parks, and I said because there's a lot of seller finance opportunities. And he said, you know what? I actually have a seller finance deal in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's like 117 units. I need to raise like another $1 million for it, and I kind of put it on the back burner. I was like, I can bring you $1 million in 2 weeks if you send me everything and the numbers look good. He sent me everything, slam dunk deal, and just right place, right time with the right person, being in the right room. I looked at all the numbers. When I went back to the real estate conference, that's all I did was run his numbers. He sent to me right away, underwrote the deal, talked to my investor. It was a slam dunk, no brainer for him, or for my investor and for myself. And I helped structure the deal. I, went up there and, looked at the numbers and the properties and go over the day to day with him on the deal. And it's been a slam dunk. We've owned it for a little bit over a year and a half, and the rents have just increased drastically with even before we were able to implement all the renovations, and it's a great deal. So it's been an easy I feel like an easy transition just because I've been able to partner with the right
Hmm.
people. And now I feel like I have more free time to more focus on it myself and be a larger part of the process. Like with the self-storage facility, like I literally went every day after closing, like to the property. I didn't
Hmm.
have to, but
Hmm.
and even my business partner's like, hey, why are you going there so much? I'm like, I just want to be like all in it, and I want to know like every facet of everything, and you know, be able to do everything from A to Z, know it, so that I can really build this business to, like yourself, to having many units and knowing 100% from ground to zero what it is and what it takes.
Well, Alex, there's an old saying which I'm sure you've heard as well as several of our listeners, and that is, luck is where opportunity meets preparation. And I think you're a walking, talking example of that. When you have an opportunity to be able to walk across the street and attend another conference, and position yourself to be able to network and meet with those folks, that is preparation, and that is not luck that you had that conversation. You prepared long before that, and honed your skills in underwriting, commercial underwriting, and underwriting a mobile home park, so that you could go back then across the street and underwrite a deal without having to learn or ask anybody else in there, what's a cap rate, and how do I, work this. I mean, you were ready. You understood that. And you have, many of us, well, we have many equity partners that come into our projects, or hard money lenders or money partners. And you had already identified one, who has access to a lot of capital to be able to partner with you on your deals. So you very confidently that you could not only have that conversation, but knew that if there was truly a deal there, and to your point, there's opportunities and there's deals. And so you said, if the numbers work out, I can get this done in 2 weeks, because that's about how long it would take for you and your money partner to be able to do the paperwork and make that happen. So what I'm saying is, once again, I applaud you for making sure that you had everything, ready, because there are so many other folks that, that they aim and never fire, and then there's some that fire, and they're not prepared for the aftermath, for what happens, and they don't have the ability to take a deal down. So going to each and every conference, because you're going to pull a nugget out, as you mentioned, and just preparing yourself for when opportunity comes so that you can act on it and it's familiar, and you can assemble something and put it together. That makes all the difference in the world when then that opportunity does land on your plate. You are prepared to take it down, because in commercial real estate, we got 90 days to take a deal down for the most part. And some folks say, oh gosh, that's a long time if you're doing single family homes, but 90 days is not a lot of time to put together a commercial deal. And if you're going to start assembling your team the moment you go under contract, you'll lose that deal. It'll fall out of contract before you have the ability to
Sure.
take it down. So well done, my friend. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, as we come to the end of our time together here, Alex, a couple of questions that I wanted to finish up with, and the first of which is, what would you say has you've done to prepare you the most for success and being able to take advantage of these opportunities when they land on your plate?
Um, I think a lot of it is, and I had a morning meeting with my team yesterday. Is like the belief in like goal setting. Like I think goal setting and we do a lot with affirmations and things like that, and um, have your goals, write it out with not just the goals, but the plan behind the goal. And when you see it and you put it on paper and you can know that this is possible and you believe it's possible, it will happen. And I think that's literally, for a long time, going all to all these events and seminars over the years since my beginning, I always thought that was like, foo-foo. I always skipped that part. I literally would never do it until I got to a point in my, I guess, out of my youth where I was like, this is actually important. They're saying it for a reason. Everybody says it, and started doing that. That's really what kind of like clicked for me. And I think it's a big part um, of me and my business, and it definitely is something you shouldn't skip. It's definitely the foundation.
Yeah, if nothing is measured, and the only way it gets measured is if you set the benchmark and you set a time frame to it and the number, and if it doesn't get measured, then it doesn't get achieved. And so agree 100%. And yeah, it's real easy to write something down on a piece of paper and never look at it, but it's another thing to write down a goal and then share it with your team and have that accountability, and then everybody's pulling for it. So agree 100%. So tell us, Alex, where do you see the biggest opportunity in self-storage right now, or perhaps maybe the missing opportunity that most of the folks aren't realizing or recognizing it in our market space right now?
I still go back to the big box stores. I think with retail kind of dying out, I think that is going to be the biggest opportunity. And if you can get to those sellers before the brokers do, that will allow you to get just structure better deals. I think even though I talk to brokers, I much rather prefer going direct to seller and the mom and pop owners, whether it's existing or a big box store, because you can structure great terms and great financing. And that's how we got our deal in Sebring, Florida. And I think anytime you can structure seller financing with agreeable terms, that is by far the biggest opportunity in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
We got 3% interest only with very little down with a 4-year balloon. And, we're almost at a point already, only a few months in, where we can we would want to refinance if we took it down with a regular loan, but we are just going to cash flow heavy and be able to implement all these other add value opportunities for us because of the structuring seller financing on this deal. And I think that's the biggest opportunity in self-storage, in rare in apartments.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And again, we're big fans of that as well, as I once mentioned. So keep after it and continue to keep us abreast of your success. And speaking of which, Alex, do you have perhaps a success quote that maybe you live by, or that you've heard, or that a mentor of yours shared with you that you would like to share with everyone else here?
I would have to think on that one. Success quote. Let's see what I have here. Actually, so I got this from another investor. I was trying to think, because my business partner likes this the most. If you're not embarrassed by your offer, it isn't low enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like one of our quotes around here. Obviously, a wholesale business is our main business here every day.
Mm-hmm.
So 100%, you have to be embarrassed by your first offer. I think that's definitely key. A lot of times, and sometimes even myself, when a deal, you really want the deal, you want to push the numbers and to see, just to get it. And I think that's definitely a mistake, and it could be definitely a mistake that you can pay for many, many years. So you got to buy right. So I think that's important.
I would agree. I think if you get too wrapped up emotionally, then you're going to try to find too many ways to give that seller more to keep him happy and keep him engaged. When at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers, and we never get too excited about a project because when the numbers get better, then all of a sudden the ugliest facility from the street, it looks a whole lot better as long as the numbers match, and vice versa. The prettiest property, if the numbers don't look good, then it's not such a pretty overall investment. So good words to live by. Well, Alex, once again, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share. And once again, just proud of you for sticking with it and where you've got to at this point and the amount of activity level. I mean, you're extremely successful in real estate before coming into self-storage. And, we saw and recognized that in you, and you've done nothing but that since you've gotten into this side of the business as well. So, brother, I can't wait till we are able to get back together live again, and hope to see you at one of our next masterminds pretty soon.
100%. Yeah, look forward to it. Appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you.
All right. My pleasure, Alex. You're the one who did all the work. I just shared the info. So.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Alex. Take care. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening as always. Now, we're going to be talking about topics like this that are on target for the times that we find ourselves in, so it is important that you are listening to this podcast every single week because the guests that I'm going to be bringing on and the topics we will be covering are relevant to what we are all going through right now. And it's just going to get better and better and better in terms of the content that we're going to be discussing, and it's going to be more timely than ever, so please make sure you subscribe to the show and make sure you're paying attention to these episodes as they are coming out during this period, as I am specifically going out and finding guests who are providing really valuable information you need right now. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week.